welcome to the Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen. I'm Matt Mercer, instructor for the Pathfinder School and the founder of the Black Hat Bushcraft channel right here on YouTube. And this afternoon I've come back out to my pasture here where I have a campsite set up. I'm hoping to do an overnighter here real soon, and having my gear all set up and kind of pre-staged makes that a lot easier. We're going to be cooking up today, of course, a subscriber submitted recipe. This is going to be a really good one and something a little bit different for me here on the show, so I'm looking forward to that. Of course, it's always exciting announcing a new winner, someone who will be receiving free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear coming to you straight from Self-Reliance Outfitters, and just enjoying this beautiful fall weather that we're having, this nice cooler temperatures, this fresh, crisp air. It's just wonderful and good for the soul. So I'm looking forward to some good food, some good times, and spending a little time with you guys today here on Pathfinder Outdoor Kitchen, and I hope you will enjoy it. Let's get started. So to get our fire started today, we're going to use flint and steel ignition. And what I have here is just some coarsely processed tulip poplar bark that I've collected off the landscape. What I'm doing is just kind of teasing this stuff out, just processing it down, because what I want to do is get some really fine fibers there. We want a mixture of coarse, medium, and really fine fibers so that when we introduce our char, the small fibers will combust fast, and that'll heat up the medium and ultimately the large fibers. So the key is to have a mixture in your tinder bundle, or bird's nest, as this technically will be. I'm going to keep processing this stuff down, get us a nice, really fine center to this bird's nest, and then we'll proceed with our flint and steel ignition. Alright, so we have our fully processed bird's nest here to make our flint and steel fire, and this looks very acceptable. It almost looks good enough for a bird to land and lay an egg in, and that's what you want. Alright, so what I have here is just a lid off my char tin, and I have some pieces of charred punkwood here, and I'm just going to lay several of those pieces out here on this lid. This keeps it up off the ground. What I'm going to do is just use my steel and my piece of flint here and just throw sparks down onto that punkwood and see what catches. Okay, I can see already you have a piece ignited here. You can see that. What we'll do is introduce that into our bird nest. Alright, so now we're just going to sandwich our char down in our bird nest and introduce oxygen. Very easy. Alright, I have here 2 piles of small kindling. I'm just going to lay those over top of my bird nest. So I want to make sure not to smother this out. As you can see from there, things will start to heat up. And it's just a matter of waiting a moment for my fire to establish. Alright, so without further ado, let's talk about today's recipe and of course announce our winning subscriber of the day. Congratulations, Liz Ball, for your submission of potato soup. Now this is not going to be just some bland, boring potato soup. We're going to jazz this up with some spices, with some bacon, with some French fried onions, and of course fresh grated Cabot cheese. Why Cabot? Because it's the best, of course. And this is going to be a good hearty soup for this time of year, being fall. This is kind of meal that'll warm you from the inside out. And we're going to be baking up some Bannock bread to go along with it, because if you're eating a warm bowl of soup, you got to have some bread to dip down in there. So we're going to go over that today. And it's just going to be a good hearty meal. So I hope you guys will stick with me for this one. And once again, congratulations, Liz. And I appreciate your participation in the show. And of course, you'll be winning some free Pathfinder gear from SRO. So let's get started cooking up Liz Ball's potato soup. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start cooking over our fire is this pre-cooked bacon, and this is per Liz's recipe. The nice thing about this pre-cooked bacon is We can carry it in our pack throughout the day, not worry about it spoiling, again, because it's pre-cooked, and then just heat it up, crisp it up in the skillet, and use it in our recipe. So we're gonna get this in our skillet. And I just have a swing arm cook set here, which I'm gonna use for that. And the recipe calls for 4 slices of this bacon. So I'm gonna cook several of these slices. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because I want a snack. And being that this bacon is pre-cooked, I'm gonna throw a little butter in the pan with it because some of the grease is already cooked away, and I wanna make sure we have plenty of grease. So I wanted to take just a quick moment to show you guys a few pieces of cooking gear that I'm using out here by the fire today. And Self-Reliance Outfitters, in honor of today's video, has agreed to do a special sale package of the pieces that I'm gonna show you. And they're doing a full 20% off retail discount, which is a great deal. Real quick, the pieces I'm gonna be using today are, number one of my MVPs here on the show, the 8-inch stainless steel skillet and lid with the folding handle. Just a great piece. And by the way, this is my original 8-inch skillet that I've used over and over. You've seen it on the show many times. Still going strong, as good as the day that I bought it. The second piece is a 120 ounce stainless steel bush pot. And this larger bush pot has become more and more of an MVP for me, one that I keep coming back to. I find it to be very, very versatile, and it's great for just cooking for me, but also others when I have people with me in camp. Inside of this bush pot, I have a 64 ounce stainless steel bush pot, which is, again, one that I come back to often, especially when I'm going solo. We have a little stainless steel, yikes, there goes the lid, stainless steel baking tray for this 120 ounce bush pot. Again, the 64 ounces there. And this allows me to not only use this as a pot, but to now bake like a reflector oven, or put the lid on it and actually make it into an oven. So this allows me to make soups and stews, deep fry like I did in the last video, even bake with this bush pot. So these are great pieces of gear, and they've even thrown in a set of tongs. So again, as I mentioned, SRO is doing this kit for a 20% off retail discount, which comes to $104.99. A great deal, and I hope if this is of interest to you, you can take advantage of this opportunity. Let's get back to cooking on our fire. All right, so I've gone ahead and changed the configuration of my fire irons to make a tripod here. I figured that'll go well to hang my bush pot over the fire. And the recipe calls for, I think, 3 tablespoons of butter. So I'm gonna call that 1, 2, and 3. Because a little extra butter don't hurt. Unless, of course, you're talking to the heart doctor. But yep, we're going for some extra butter today because I know it's going to be good. All right, so we've got our butter in our bush pot, and we're going to go ahead and hang that on our tripod here. Let that butter melt, and then we're going to add a couple more ingredients in. All right, so now that our butter is melted, I want to add in 2 tablespoons of flour, which is going to be part of the base of our soup mix. And just to make sure I get this right, I did bring a measuring spoon for this today. We also want to add in a teaspoon of garlic powder. And of course, a little extra. And to go with the garlic powder, onion powder as well, 1 teaspoon. And a little extra, of course. All right, so I'm just mixing all those ingredients together. And now to that, I'm gonna add 2 cups of half and half. Now, Liz's recipe called for 2 cups of milk, but I wanted to go with half and half just to give it more of a rich flavor. I'm gonna kind of eyeball those 2 cups. All right, I'm thinking that's probably in the ballpark. Just mixing all that stuff together. All right, so our next ingredient is 2 15-ounce cans of sliced white potatoes. Of course, our potatoes are the star of the show. I'm just using my spatula to kind of chop those slices up a little bit. Some of them are kind of big. You just want to break those up a little bit. All right, I'm gonna put the top on that and we'll let it simmer. Tastes good. All right, so one of our last ingredients for our soup is just some sliced up carrots, and we're gonna slice these up really thin. And we'll throw those into our soup as everything cooks down. I'm not going to add too many of these. And I just pack these in my pack basket in a Ziploc bag. And the nice thing about those, if you pack a few extra, you got a snack while you're cooking. I love raw carrots. All right, so we'll add our carrots to our bush pot here. Let them start to simmer. That really is what will take the longest to cook. All right, so now that we've got our soup assembled and cooking over the fire, it's time to think about our bread. And what we're gonna do is bake some basic bannock in our 120 bush pot here on this baking sheet. The recipe that I'm gonna use for that comes right out of Dave Canterbury's best-selling Bushcraft 101. All right, and on page 223 is a recipe for basic bannock. All right, so Bushcraft 101, page 223. This is probably my favorite base recipe for bannock, and into this I'll add lots of different things. I've made cinnamon and raisin bannock, sweet potato bannock. If you check my channel, Black Hat Bushcraft, you'll find a lot of different recipes that I've used over time. But basically it's 1 cup of flour, and you want to use all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of dry milk powder, 1 tablespoon of shortening, and water as needed to create a dough. And what I've done is gone ahead and pre-assembled that into a dough and just put it in a Ziploc bag here. And what I'm going to do now is just take some butter and butter up our little baking tray here just so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to use my hand for that because the heat will kill any germs, right? You can see what I've done there, just buttered up that baking sheet. Okay, now I'm going to pull my bannock out of the bag here, and we basically have that in a little ball. I rolled it in some flour before I put it in the bag, but we'll see how easy it comes out. I want you to look at that. Perfect, came right out. And I think about half of this is going to be good for the first round, and I'm just going to have that in a ball. I'm going to lay that on my baking sheet. Just kind of smooth it out a little bit. Make like a biscuit shape out of it. Okay, and now with our bush pot, just slide our baking sheet right here in the bottom. That creates a dead air space in the bottom of this that creates that baking effect. And our stainless bush pot will be a reflector to help cook this. So I'm gonna just position this over by the fire with this opening towards the heat, and slowly this will start to bake. Let's get it in place. All right, so we're gonna add our Cabot cheese into the pot here. That stuff's starting to simmer good. This will help thicken everything up. Once that stuff melts down pretty good, we should be about ready for soup. And I'm really getting hungry, so I'm starting to sample more stuff. By the way, do you have a favorite recipe that you like to enjoy when you're spending time in the great outdoors? If so, go ahead and submit a copy of that recipe to the email address at the bottom of your screen, and that'll get your name and your recipe entered into our data bank of recipes that I pull from each time I come out to film a new episode of this show. Remember, this is a win-win. It's a chance for you to win free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear, and it's a chance for me to enjoy your favorite recipe right out here in the great outdoors. So I look forward to hearing from you. Don't miss this chance to win free outdoor cooking gear from Self-Reliance Outfitters. So I think this stuff is definitely ready. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off the tripod, sit it aside, and let it start to cool. My bread still has another minute to go, so we'll let that keep cooking. We're almost ready to eat. I can't wait. We got our bacon here, and what I'm gonna do is just break some of that bacon up. It's nice and crispy. Drop it down here in our soup. That bacon will add a little bit more salt to the dish. So I think I exercised great discipline not taking a sample of that bacon just now. And that stuff sure does smell good. All right, you guys know what it's time for. That official meal reveal. Oh man, look at that creamy potato soup with all that onion, garlic, butter, bacon, cream, and all those potatoes. You guys know this is going to be a delicious meal worth sopping up with that Bannock. I cannot wait to eat this one. It's going to be a delicious, hearty soup that would warm anybody up on a cold winter's day. I can't wait for winter, and I cannot wait for this meal. Yeah. All right, so after all that cooking by the hot fire, I found me a nice shady spot here to sit down and enjoy this meal. And of course, anytime that I'm gonna enjoy a delicious meal out here in the beautiful great outdoors, I'm gonna take just a minute to give thanks. All right, it's now time for the official taste test, and today I'm going to use my new noggin that I carved. I've been looking for the perfect opportunity to use this, and I think a hot bowl of soup is the perfect opportunity. Let's give this a try. Official taste test. Oh yeah. Right away I can taste that Cabot cheese, that bacon, that cream. I say cream half and half. You could go all in with heavy whipping cream, but instead of the milk, which was called for by Liz in the recipe, as you know, I substituted that half and half, and I think that really thickened the soup up. Of course, all that Cabot cheese did a great job of that too, but this stuff is really, really good. Got a little bite of carrot there. Cooked down nice and tender. This stuff is fitting to eat. That's what my granddad used to say. This is fitting to eat. I'll bring you guys in, give you a little taste there. See that carrot, some bacon, potatoes, a couple of gnats to go with it. This stuff is so good. So let's take a look at this Bannock. Can y'all hear that? Nice and solid. Let's break it open. Man, that stuff cooked up perfect in the bush pot. That is a great little way to cook up bread in camp using that little bacon sheet. And we've had those little grill racks that fit the pot for a long time, but I found that the Bannock dough would tend to seep through the grill grate. But with that bacon sheet, man, that works perfect. It keeps your Bannock nice and smooth on the bottom. Let's do a little dipping action here. Yep, that's just what you need for a bowl of soup. And some bread to sop it with. It's like having a biscuit. And you know, Bannock like this or a biscuit, that's not bread to go on the side, that's a utensil. So I hope I'm not the only one that gets to enjoy this delicious potato soup recipe. I hope you guys will get out, make yourself a fire, get out your best cooking gear and cook up some delicious potato soup. Make yourself some Bannock if you will, and I think you'll really enjoy this recipe. Once again, thank you, Liz. I appreciate your submission. Don't forget, guys, if you have an awesome recipe, we need recipes to keep this show rolling. So send me some really good recipes, and I'll probably use your recipe at some point, which means you will get some free Pathfinder outdoor cooking gear. So don't wait. Send over those recipes down below. It's very simple. Send it to me. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, don't forget about our special sale on the gear that you saw me using today. You can click the link down below in the description box and it'll take you right over to SRO so you can pick up your cooking gear and save if this is something that you need. I want to thank you guys for your time, interest, and support. I look forward to coming back to you again with another episode and another recipe very soon, giving away some more free gear. Hopefully it'll be one of you guys that'll pick it up. All right, I've got to get back to eating. I hope you guys have a good one and y'all take care. Until the next one, be safe.